Let's change tack a little bit because Nigeria is Africa's top crude oil producer, but the country's dependence on oil is something that it's actually trying to change. It currently produces more than 2 million barrels of crude oil every single day, and estimates say that the oil and gas sector actually accounts for around about 35 to 40% of Nigeria's total GDP, or gross domestic product. Well, the state may be resource-rich, but mounting issues such as corruption mean that much of this wealth is actually lost through oil thefts and also sabotages in some of its plants. A report from earlier this year says that 100,000 barrels of oil are stolen every single day across the country, and Nigeria's oil chief says that she's had enough. Well, at the helm of Nigeria's oil operations is Diezani Alison-Madueke. She's the country's Minister for Petroleum Resources. That's a title that she's held for more than 3 years. Alison-Madueke is the first woman to take this office, but it isn't her only first. Previously, she was the first woman to hold the post of Minister for Transportation, and prior to that, and her life as a public servant, she spent time in the private sector on the oil and gas side of things. Alison-Madueke was actually the first female to be appointed to the board of Shell's corporate arm in Nigeria. That was back in 2007 that she left. Well, I had the chance to sit down with Diezani Alison-Madueke at the Leading Women in Government and Politics conference, which took place in London this week. It's a new platform designed to bridge the gender gap in the developing world. I asked her about the country's heavy economic dependence on oil production, and here's what she had to say.
Oil is the core monoproduct of our economy at this time, even though we are trying to diversify away from it, particularly in the areas of agriculture.
Should it play such an important role, especially given the fact that the outlook for the oil price could be a bit shaky these days?
Well, no, ideally you would like to see some sort of more balanced role in terms of oil and other parts of the non-oil producing sectors of the economy, which is actually what the government is striving towards right now. But it will still take a while to go. For many years, Nigeria has depended on oil for its economic growth.
The problem is that it's also got the issue of oil theft, which poses a huge environmental issue. From a security point of view, again, it's another big issue. You really have called this the new face of terrorism. What exactly do you mean by that statement?
Well, I think it's quite clear that when you attack the core of a country's economy, it is tantamount to acts of terrorism. But quite apart from that, the quantities of oil being stolen from Nigeria are unprecedented. They range from 100,000 barrels a day to 300,000+ barrels a day in some cases, which is more than many countries produce.
We've talked a lot about oil, but we haven't talked very much about gas, which you've got quite a bit of.
I think gas at this point is quite critical to Nigeria. We've been known as a crude producing country, the 7th largest in the world, but we're also as 8th largest in terms of gas production. We have 187 trillion cubic feet of gas reserves, 600 trillion cubic feet of undiscovered potential, which is quite a lot. And the gas master plan is already inherent within the petroleum industry bill.
You in the past have worked for Shell as an executive director for Africa, I believe, up until around about 2007. What is your relationship with Shell like today, given the accusations that have been made by Amnesty International towards this company?
It's actually, I think, a major plus that I have worked in the private sector and seen the oil and gas industry from the private sector perspective, and then moved into government, where we have a completely